Motion carries. It's 9:21. We have 9 minutes more to wait before we begin our regular meeting. Let's have your attention, please. It is now 9:30. We want to welcome you to this meeting, regular meeting of the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court for today, July the 23rd, 2013. Present are Commissioner Cuellar, Precinct 1, Commissioner Palacios, Precinct 2, Palacios, Precinct 4, and myself. We have a quorum. Please join us in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Father in heaven, thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to live in a free country where I hope we always appreciate and thank you for, dear God. And also thank you for all the veterans and the combat troops and everybody that fights for those freedoms. Help us to have wisdom today as we make some very serious and always with a caring heart, trying to think of what's best for the county. And we make those decisions in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Mr. Ofracio, good morning. What are your concerns with the consent agenda, sir?
I don't believe we have any concerns today on the consent, Judge. We have some on the regular agenda, but not on the consent, so recommend approval. No one else has a concern.
Move for approval.
Check.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Under open forum, first presenter is Opal Billman.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Opal Billman. I now have a criminal record that I did not have before I was sued for divorce. Since I was sued for divorce, I have been charged with criminal trespass, arrested, jailed, fingerprinted, searched, and processed through 2 trials because I was standing on land that I own in valid deeds. False imprisonment is any unlawful restraint of a person's freedom of motion. False imprisonment is a crime. I am still being held in false imprisonment in Hidalgo County, Texas. The court's only involvement was to award a fair legal settlement of our community property between Joe and me. I didn't have any mental illness until I was sued for divorce. The 13th Appellate Court reached the conclusion that I am mentally ill. I was unaware that the 13th Appellate Court was a medical institution. Are you interested in the foundation and grounds of their conclusion? Their reason is because she says she is. No one has ever heard me claim that I have mental illness. It is not I who have the mental problem. I have never been diagnosed by any medical professional to have any kind of mental illness. For the 13th Appellate Court to malign me with such a drastic diagnosis violates the 15th Amendment of the Texas Constitution. Of course, perhaps it paved the way for the court to appoint a beneficiary and give all of our community property to him. Would you suppose this diagnosis made the beneficiary possible? Even though it's nonsense, still, if I am documented to be mentally incapacitated to the degree that I'm not allowed to own my own property, why wasn't the court responsible to appoint my adult children to be the beneficiaries of my property? Give my property to my adult kids instead of someone that none of us even know. Under rights guaranteed or granted by the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, I have submitted petitions to the 275th District Court requesting explanations and clarification of the case. That has not happened. No one has ever said to me, I own that land and you are trespassing on land that I own. No person has claimed my land to me. Even during the 2 trials which were held, a violation of the 6th Amendment, which states that I am to be confronted with the witnesses against me, which would have to include whomever is claiming I am trespassing on land that he owns. I have said many times, this land belongs to the estate of Joe
30
Billman
seconds,
and
Ms.
me.
Billman.
If someone is out there that thinks he owns our land, how did he get it? Who sold it to him? How much did he pay for it? Who did he pay for it? And who signed the deeds over to him? And why doesn't he just step out of the shadows and claim it from me, instead of these years of forced restraint for me? It has to be the court-appointed beneficiary who has paid nothing for it and cannot claim it until I, the owner, have passed away. Only then can the unconstitutional and unlawful documents be used. Until then, I'm to be held in police-enforced false imprisonment to protect this bait and switch fraud. And I thank you very much for your time.
Next presenter is Fern McClarty.
I also signed up in case I was kind of giving you a head start on this. This is 21A2, lease of office space for Urban County. I thought we bought at the taxpayers' expense a building on North 10th. And then we see here that we're going to be paying $8,354.75 a month, which comes out to $100,257 for 1 year. And you're talking about a contract for 3 years and a possible extension for 2 more years. What in the world are we doing? I don't understand. We buy buildings that we can't afford, and for this purpose, and then whoops, we're not going to be able to use it or whatever. And we looked at the drawings. It's in the paperwork back up here. It says a conference room is 14 foot by 24 and got all the little cubics and the different things. How much room does one department need? Not what they want, but what do they need? And like I say, here we go again. We don't quite understand why we're buying buildings and then having to lease. I thought we were trying to lease try to get rid of all the leased property and put them in county-owned property. Do we not own property within Hidalgo County that this department could move into instead of giving away over $100,000 a year? Thank you.
All right, item 6A, a resolution in honor of Ignite High School students' invention.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Karina Cardosa with the Public Affairs Office. This item is a recognition in honor of the Ignite Public School student invention. You may have read recently in the paper there are these 3 high school students. We're here to recognize the innovative and entrepreneurial spirit of these high school students from Ignite Public Schools in Weslaco, Texas. And I'd like to ask them to join me up here at the podium. Angel Acosta, Julian Sanchez, and David Wilkins were three classmates in Ivan Villarreal's A+ certification class, and they were ignited to solve a common problem afflicting many of us, inventing a portable electronic charger out of recycled material. Today, we honor their inventiveness, their ingenuity, and their ability to devise such a promising solution to an everyday problem. We also recognize and applaud the Ignite Public Schools for encouraging and supporting technological and entrepreneurial education and providing real-world experience and practical certification programs for students. And today, we have with us today, they're joined by their A+ certification class instructor, Mr. Ivan Villarreal, technology instructor. We have David Wilkins, and he's joined by his mother, Maria Wilkins. And we're here to recognize Julian Sanchez and his mother, Eva Moreno. Now, Angel Acosta couldn't be here with us today because we heard that he is getting his driver's ed certification or something like that. So today we're recognizing them for their teamwork, skills, and entrepreneurship to bring their idea into reality, receiving local and national recognition for their invention. May I please read the resolution? Resolution in honor of Ignite Public School students' invention. Whereas 3 Weslaco Ignite Public School students, Angel Acosta, 15, Julian Sanchez, 15, and David Wilkins, 17, were all born and raised in Weslaco, Texas, and have called Hidalgo County home all their lives. And whereas during a long school field trip, after experiencing the loss of battery life on their cell phones, the 3 students thought of an idea that led to a remarkable invention to fulfill the need of portability. The students devised and invented a portable electronic battery charger. And whereas the students attribute the knowledge they used to invent the device to a computer class they are taking at Ignite Public School, in which they are receiving the training needed to test at the end of the course for their A+ and Network Plus certification. And whereas upon inventing the device, the students began taking orders from friends and family, as well as teaching staff, and have become young entrepreneurs. And whereas their invention has received local and national recognition from the Monitor, KVEO News Channel 23, and NBC News, thus recognizing these Hidalgo County's high school students' creative minds and ability to devise a handy solution to an everyday need. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court hereby recognizes and honors Angel Acosta, Julian Sanchez, and David Wilkins for their remarkable invention of a portable electronic battery charger to help power the necessity of modern-day technology. Approve this 23rd day of July 2013.
Move to approve. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Why don't you guys identify yourselves so that we can understand who you are?
My name is David Wilkins.
David, good morning.
I am 17 years old, and I am one of the creators of the portable charger.
Can you speak a little louder so that the public can hear you?
My name is David Wilkins. I am 17 years old. I am one of the inventors of the charger, one of the 3 of us. This is Julian Sanchez. Angel couldn't be here. This charger, I guess, well, is something we're all really proud of, because it's something small, yet made a big hit. It's USB powered, so it's actually almost universal to most modern day, such as iPhones, iPods, smartphones, anything that you can plug into the little port. It is not the only product that we're going to be working on. There are going to be new versions of it, such as the solar powered and rechargeable, to where you don't have to always replace the battery, and even other types of chargers, such as laptops, computers, well, laptops, cameras, computers. If you have a smartphone, you can actually test it out right now. It does have some new batteries. It has a switch. That one has a button, but that's Julian's. He customized it himself. We have 2 versions of it, to where some can provide their own supplies, batteries, connectors, even their own little tin, to where they can buy it for cheap. Or we can end up providing more I guess you can say better supplies, a clear tin that is fully customizable, colorable, anything. You can have it colored to look like flowers. We have a friend named Adrian who doesn't want one until it looks like Superman. He wants it to come back as Superman or Batman. And we're making them for everything. So I've been putting research into making a strap for cameras. From my gramps and the photographers from the news channels both gave the same idea, a battery charger for cameras, such as for people who go out into the field, the battlefield, to take pictures, war photographers, video photographers, everything. A strap to carry multiple batteries that does not only hold them, but recharges them through a solar panel on the shoulder and a cap. And there is going to be the solar-powered one for the little tin one, as you see there, to where it recharges itself. And that's all I got for now. There's
Well,
all of it's mainly for fun.
you're gonna save a little till you're 18, huh?
Almost 18.
Now, congratulations to both of you and the young man. Would you care to address us, sir?
My name is Julian Sanchez.
Okay, get close to the mic, please, Julian.
My name is Julian Sanchez. I'm 15. And that's pretty much it about the charger. You just explained it everything.
Well, congratulations to both of
Yeah.
you, and I know you say you're proud of your invention. You should be, and our county community is very proud of what you guys have accomplished. Congratulations.
Congratulations. We tried it and it worked. Keep it up.
You know, I don't know if I'd asked it, but where is Ignite High School? Is it a part of the Westaco School District?
It's a charter school system, Ignite Public Schools, charter school system.
All right.
Hilda, you want to say?
This one?
We'll be buying those in the store.
Made in Westaco.
Thank you, guys.
Guys, good luck to you. Razón no se miraba bien. All right, next item, please.
Next item is item 6B, and it is with great pride to honor our next special guest and resident of Elsa, Texas, my hometown. The caption reads, "Resolution honoring Ms. Genesis Queren Nava," and she's joined here by several family members, and I'd like to ask them to come up to the podium. Genesis Queren Nava is an 11-year-old rising sixth grade student and talented singing phenomenon who recently appeared and competed for a coveted spot on the NBC television series America's Got Talent. Genesis made it to the second round of the competition in Las Vegas, and her recent performance aired last week on NBC and was well received by a national audience of supporters and newfound fans. Genesis is joined here today by her biggest fans and supporters, her family, which includes her parents, Ruben and Susie Nava, and sister Faith Nava. And if I may ask that you join us up on the podium, the whole family. Grandparents, Eusebio and Maria Nava, grandmother, Petra Lopez, aunts Julie Nava Villarreal, Agripina Hinojosa, and Mary Mendoza, her uncle and EEISD school board member Eusebio Nava, and cousin Brenda Acosta. So today for consideration is approval of a resolution honoring Ms. Genesis for her accomplishments. May I please read the resolution?
Yes.
Resolution in honor of Genesis Queren Nava. Whereas Genesis Queren Nava, 11, from Elsa, Texas, was born on February 27, 2002, to Ruben Nava of Elsa, Texas, and Susie Lopez Wade Nava of La Villa, Texas. The Nava family comes from a long line of musical performance of Christian worship. And whereas Genesis began singing at around the young age of 4, casually accompanying her father as he strummed his guitar on the family home's front porch. Over the years, Genesis' parents realized their daughter had impressive tone, range, and pitch, and decided to nurture her talent by enrolling her in vocal lessons with vocal instructor Vanessa Gutierrez of Vocal Cadenza in McAllen, Texas. And whereas Genesis continued to hone her talent over the years, her family supported her vocal development and encouraged her to perform in church, in school talent shows, as well as recording her performances and broadcasting them online on her YouTube channel. And whereas her online performances caught the attention of casting producers for the NBC television network series America's Got Talent, Genesis was invited to audition for the producers of the show and was further invited to perform for a live taping in front of the 4-judge celebrity panel at a qualifying round for the competition in San Antonio, Texas. And whereas Genesis advanced to Las Vegas week, the final elimination round before the show's live competition, Genesis, her parents, and her sister Faith, 8, traveled to Las Vegas earlier this year, the first airplane ride for Genesis and Faith and the first visit to Las Vegas for their parents. And whereas Genesis gave a strong performance, which was viewed by spectators across the country last week as the show debuted. She was cheered on and supported by family, friends, and fans as she catapulted her hometown of Elsa, Texas, Hidalgo County, and the Rio Grande Valley into the national spotlight. And whereas Genesis also boasts the achievement of having auditioned and advanced for La Voz Kids, a singing competition and top-rated show for NBC's sister network, Telemundo. Both competitions have now brought interest from talent agencies, but her family is taking the attention day by day. They would like to still preserve Genesis' childhood, as her biggest concern right now is beginning school as a 6th grader at David Ibarra Middle School in August. And whereas Genesis is to be commended for her vocal talent and for her tenacity, which she now hopes to be put to good use as she uses her newfound notoriety for events and fundraisers benefiting worthy causes, such as performing at a fundraiser benefit for a cancer patient in August. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court hereby recognizes and congratulates Genesis Queren Nava on her tremendous and remarkable vocal capacity and for representing her hometown, Hidalgo County, and the Rio Grande Valley with such talent and grace. Approved this 23rd day of July in 2013.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimous.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to invite Genesis or her parents to say a few words, and then after that, Ms. Genesis has a treat for the Commissioners Court in the audience. She's going to perform for us today. Ruben, would you like to say a few words?
Good morning to everybody.
morning,
it's an
sir.
honor for us to be here today. Genesis was born just down the street here in Edinburgh at the Women's Hospital back in 2002. Genesis is our firstborn, our miracle child. My wife and I, for 3 years, tried to have a child and couldn't, and then lo and behold, God blessed us with Genesis, which we named her that because she was our new beginning. And so that was truly our new beginning because our lives truly changed after that. Around the age of 3 and 4, we began to notice Genesis' love for music, as she always put CDs on the CD player and would sing off tune, but we couldn't keep her quiet, and she would just keep singing and singing. It was around that time that she began to learn her first song, which was "Jesus Take the Wheel" by Carrie Underwood, and she immediately became a huge fan of Carrie Underwood. And I started to notice that as she grew older, she began to fine-tune that talent that she had. And about 8 months ago, It all started with a Christmas wish. Genesis wanted to go see Justin Bieber in concert in San Antonio on January 12th. And I found out that America's Got Talent was going to be in San Antonio for an open cast audition on the same day. And so we made a little pact. And I said, I will try the best that I can to get you tickets to that concert. And I will go to the concert. So I was pretty much putting myself out there for ridicule, having to go see a Bieber concert. But we agreed, and I was able to get her the tickets, and we were able to see the producers. We didn't really think we would get as far as we did. We really thought it would just be something that we could do as a father-daughter, something we always did in church and at home. And one performance in front of a producer turned into a second, turned into a third, turned into a fourth. What we thought would be an hour-long audition turned into 6 hours. 3 months later, we got called to be in San Antonio, and she performed for over 2,500 people at the Lila Cockrell Theater in San Antonio. She received 4 yeses, and we made our way to Las Vegas, took our first plane ride as a family to Las Vegas, and enjoyed our time out there. Unfortunately, she did not get through the Vegas round, but we were just very grateful for that opportunity. She's very young. She's 11 years old. She doesn't talk a whole lot, but I'm pretty sure she'd like to at least say thank you this morning, and one of the ways that we like to do that is through song. So we would like to do a song for y'all this morning, if that'd be okay. Yes.
Morning, Judge Commissioners. Bobby Villarreal with the County Judge's Office.
Item 6C.
6C, we're going to take no action on that. I think Steve and them are going to continue to look at it. And on item 6D, I passed out a letter that we received from Chairman of Texas Department of Transportation, Ted Houghton. We got some good news this past week. If you recall, I think about last summer, Judge Garcia and I went to the TxDOT meeting in Corpus Christi. And at that meeting, we got to see that a lot of those commissioners that make the decisions at the statewide level got to see Corpus Christi and the surrounding areas. So we had talked to Senator Hinojosa that day and to Mario Jorge from TxDOT if they thought that's possible, we could have something similar here. So last year, if you recall, we took court action to formally invite them. Then Mayor Richard Cortez and the City Commission of McAllen had agreed to host. And we got the good news last week. They've accepted our invitation, and they will be here at the end of September. I believe it says September 26th. So anyway, Mario Jorge is here from TxDOT. And
That's September 26th?
yes, it'll be like the last Thursday of
It'll
September.
be a one-day meeting?
Yeah, they'll come in that day. Probably the day prior is a good day. There'll probably be a reception of some sort, and possibly we could give them tours of
We
our local
did,
area.
we extended an invitation. I visited with Mayor Cortez, and he graciously extended the use of the McAllen Convention Center for their meeting, sent out the letter, and we were advised that the presentation of that I-69 designation, Commissioner Houghton came over and said that they accepted the invitation, and we're looking forward to hosting it on September the 26th and the 25th and 26th.
Yeah, they usually come in a day prior, and Mario's here, he can probably expand on that, but we have reached out to the TxDOT Commission as a point of contact, and Senator Hinojosa's office is coordinating with TxDOT as well. But I'll let Mario elaborate.
Thank you, Bobby. Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
morning.
Yeah, it's a great event, I think, for us here in Hidalgo County to host a commission meeting in September. One of the reasons the commission had not been able to make a decision earlier was because of the legislative session that was ongoing. That they generally don't like to travel during the session for obvious reasons. So we're real excited to have them here on the end of September. Generally speaking, the way and I attended the commission meeting they had in Corpus last year. So anticipating something fairly similar, generally the commissioners will come in the Wednesday before, different times depending on their travel schedules. What we'd like to do, and we'll work with your office as well as the other stakeholders here in the Valley, the MPOs, RMAs, the other counties, to make sure we have a good regional representation.
Yes.
But generally speaking, the Wednesday afternoon before, if we can arrange multiple tours of different facilities here in the Valley, show them our transportation needs. They generally like to spread out and cover as much ground as possible, so we'll coordinate that with you all. Then generally the Wednesday night before the commission, an informal reception of some kind, I'll let you all coordinate that with our commission office. And then the actual meeting itself, which will take place at the McAllen Convention Center, and we're already coordinating with the McAllen folks. Generally, they'll like a brief local presentation from the local elected officials, and we'll work over the details of that. Again, they generally like it fairly brief. And then they'll usually ask the local district engineer to, again, also do a brief presentation to talk about the major transportation projects. And so we'll coordinate all of that, and then, of course, they'll have the meeting and be done. And as soon as the meeting's over, they all have their travel arrangements, so they move up pretty quick. But the Wednesday before is the opportunity, I think, to have good one-to-one.
I would like to, since we're the host, I want to make sure we clarify that, Mr. Ofracio, that there will be no problem in creating a budget to be able to properly host this meeting. We're talking about TxDOT coming over to the Valley and having a meeting on September 26th. They have accepted our invitation. They spend, we're the recipients of several hundred millions of dollars from that particular agency, and we want to make sure we can properly host them and spend, create a budget to be able to properly host them.
I'm not sure about creating a budget, Judge for this purpose, or it's a department, or I don't understand why you want to create a
You
budget.
can underwrite it if you want to.
Yeah, you can,
Well, with a budget, because we don't know what it is, they're gonna be planning what to have, how to properly host it.
right. But you're wanting to set aside monies for what purpose? To buy
Well, to
a...
provide a breakfast, a dinner, or, you know.
A reception or something.
Well, as far as food, we have county has a food policy. So based on that policy, you can pay for the food, for the meeting. I'm assuming you're
Well,
talking about having a meeting and pay for the event for food?
Why don't you get together with
Valde.
legal
Okay.
and look at it and then come back to the
See what we need
judge,
to do to get it done. So-
Okay.
whatever needs to be done.
Okay.
Yeah, and just one more thing to add. The last time we had the commission here in Hidalgo County was in the 90s, early, mid-90s. I don't exactly remember the exact year, but it was in Weslaco that year. So it's been quite a while. It's been well over almost 20 years. So it's a great opportunity. They were in Brownsville in the early 2000s, I think 2003. So generally every 10 years, they've been coming to the valley, and so it's a great opportunity for all of us.
Yes, sir. No, we're gonna do what we can to properly host it.
Yeah, and we'll coordinate, like I said, with Bobby and others, other stakeholders here.
And it's five
Mario,
commissioners, so
Mario.
literally one at a time could go to.
And I'll be nice and I'll make some good comments about you.
Well, I appreciate that, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mari. Item 7, Mr. Guerra.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners. There's no action under item 7A, 1 and 2 at this time. I'm going to pass on 7B. I will give a report before the end of the court. I'm just waiting for a little bit of information. 7C, Judge Commissioners, I'm asking authority to allow the county clerk to utilize the electronic version of agenda packet, which are exhibits, as originals for official minutes. Right now, every week, we still use, as an example, we still use the paper version to record the official minutes of the court or the transactions. And so what I'm asking for is the court to acknowledge the electronic version of all our documents. So everything that you see electronically under the agenda process is here in paper. So I'm just asking for the electronic version to be the official form of minutes for Commissioners Court.
Is that legally sufficient, Steve?
I have not been asked to look into that, but I will.
Judge, the concern that I have with that is sometimes the electronic version has, for example, a draft contract. So if you allow that to be the official record, it's not an executed document that you can consider an official record. Yes.
Mr. Frasi, you still have the same situation right now.
Right, no, right, but,
The example you just posed is the same scenario right now under a paper version. So all I'm asking for is, and the reason this is coming up is roughly a month ago. Monica, do you recall the number of pages that printed? Okay, about a month ago, an agenda packet so that we could have his official minutes that's right, we're a little over 2,000 pages. I believe that we were there till about 8:45 in the evening to ensure that it did print properly because it was a lot of paper. So we wanted to make sure that the printers did not jam up. So again, I'm asking the court to consider, I will get with Mr. Crane at the end of the session today, but again, I'm asking for the electronic version to be the official basis for the court minutes.
Judge, Commissioners, if we could approve it subject to legal.
All right.
And Judge Commissioners, with that being said, once we get the response from legal, I will come back to court and announce.
Commissioner Palacios has a question
Yes,
before
sir.
we act on it.
Steve,
Yes, sir.
on recording of the exec session, I know the court decided to get away from the,
Commissioner, I think with respect to the executive session, we would still need to do by paper.
Do what?
We would still need to, we would still need to keep what
Right, no,
what Mr. Garrett fills out.
Yeah, other
No,
than
that
keep the opening of the meeting and who's present, I'm talking about the actual recording of the minutes.
Well, that's what I'm saying, the form that Mr. Garrett fills out for executive session would still need to be done by paper.
Yes.
But I'm talking about the actual proceedings of the executive session.
We have a certified agenda. There's two ways of doing it, certified agenda or the recording, the actual recording. You used to record, now we do the certified agenda.
What I'm suggesting, what I'm asking, Steve, is can we go back to having the recording?
That would be up to the court.
And that's not the issue that, on the agenda, though.
Well, it's somewhat related to that. Can we get it where we can discuss it and possibly take action on that?
We would need to put it on the agenda.
But
For
can we
the
do
executive
that?
session to be recorded, so
Correct.
next time, I guess, we can
Can-
go ahead and do that.
Can you place it on the agenda for discussion or
Sir.
action?
Yes, sir.
Judge, I don't
Okay.
understand why we need to print paper.
Sir?
I don't understand the need to print the agenda or the attachments that are
They need
included
to
in the
print
agenda.
it?
I'm sorry?
There's people like us that still have a problem with computers, you know?
No, but look what I'm saying, that nowadays, all these documents are maintained electronically, and the county clerk is the official record keeper of the records. So they have all that information, so I don't understand the need to print all of those documents.
You're asking for it not to be printed, right? Alde?
Right, the reason, and this is just for the court's official action, because remember, prior to this age that we're in, everything was paper-based, again, and so with that being said, I am confident there is somewhere in this county's history where the paper-based method was the official process by which the court follows. All I'm asking for today is for the court to consider and take action to make the electronic version the official basis for recording of court minutes.
Steve, I think you made a recommendation. We can approve it subject to.
Subject to legal.
To the legal
So
review.
moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Judge Commissioners, item D, I'm asking payment to Tropical Texas Behavioral Health Center, and this is for our fiscal year 2013. It is our required local match, and that amount is $700,633 plus $6,027 for the Texas Department of Aging and Disability Services contract for year 2013. This again is in accordance with Texas Health and Safety Code 534.066. And again, I ask this with authority for the county treasurer to issue check after review, audit, and processing procedures are completed by our county auditor's office.
All of this have been included in the budget.
Yes, sir.
I move for approval.
Second.
And it's required that we do this by the health code?
Yes, sir.
All right, those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
The second action item under Texas Tropical Behavioral Health is approval of payment to the Behavioral Health for fiscal year 2013. This is our county match in the amount of $159,333 for psychiatric emergency crisis services, and that would be DSHS contract number 2012-039599.002. Again, with the county treasurer to issue check after review, audit, and processing procedures are completed by our county auditor's office.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge Commissioners, for the record, the total payment amount is $866,023. Item E, I'm asking acceptance of a settlement check from Fred Loya Insurance Agency in the amount of $16,743.89, and this will settle a loss auto accident with one of our county vehicles.
So move.
Check.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item F is acceptance of a settlement check from Fred Loya Insurance Company in the amount of $1,146.16, and this would be on behalf of Head Start to settle an auto accident.
So move.
Check.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item G, Judge Commissioners, I will read the caption, and I believe Mr. Crane will follow up with a comment as to why we've placed this on the agenda. Item G, requesting approval to pay property taxes owed in the amount of $1,097.65. This would be a tax account number M4010-00-002-0007-05. This is in connection with the Elkins property purchase in the city of Westlaco for Constable Precinct 1 building. And this is in order to record the plat to obtain final clearance for utility services. Again, authority for the county treasurer to issue check after review and auditing procedures are completed by the county auditor.
Judge,
Why would the county be paying taxes?
let me explain. Judge, what happened was this property was purchased in April of the year, and typical real estate closing, the taxes are prorated from
Right.
January 1st to April, and those prorated taxes then reduce the purchase price that the county paid for the property. For some reason, the county never paid those property taxes in that year. So there is some interest on this, but it's a prorated amount from January 1st to the closing date in April that reduced the purchase price, and the county for some reason never either got the bill or never paid that. But you're in effect paying the property taxes for the previous owner, but you got a credit against the purchase price for what you paid that owner.
So we owe it, for sure.
We owe it.
Move for approval.
Judge, the county is exempt from paying property taxes.
Mr. Frasha, that's what I just explained. The property taxes continue from January 1st to the date they're due, which is usually 12/31. Y'all purchase a property in April. You take the prorated amount of property taxes on the closing statement, which was a charge to the county, and that reduced the purchase price the county paid the seller for the property. So that was a reduction to your purchase price, which you in turn then have to pay those property taxes which were established at the time of closing.
We're paying our pro rata share or the seller's pro rata share?
The seller's prorated share.
Okay, because ours, we don't owe anything.
Right, it'd be the
No.
seller's prorated share. You bought it from a taxpayer who was liable to pay taxes.
Okay.
So in essence, what we're paying is the cost of the property, because it was deducted from the.
It was
Yeah, it was
deducted from your
deducted.
purchase price.
It's actually an accounting issue.
I'm sorry, no, what I'm saying is that we're not actually paying the taxes.
No.
It was deducted, so we're just paying that portion
Yeah, part of the
of
property.
the sale price.
Correct.
That,
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item is approved.
And item H, Judge, Commissioners, I'm asking to process a payment for the following invoice as a claim due to auditor concern regarding attendance list not being signed by attendees. This would be the D&M Coffee Company, and the PO number and date was 690645, April 8th of this year. The total amount is $230.78. I'm asking this with authority for the county treasurer to issue payment after review and auditing procedures are completed by our county auditor.
Move for approval.
Second. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
Item 8, our sheriff's office.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Morning, sir.
Morning, Richard Ozuna, Sheriff's Office, Hidalgo County, on behalf of the Sheriff Guadalupe Lupe Trevino, under 8A, requesting authorization and approval to accept the grant adjustment notice in reference to Operation Stone Garden, FY 2011 grant extension, and authorization for the county judge is authorizing official to sign and initial the required documents.
So,
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B, under the DOJ USMC, the 1284 account, Department of Justice, United States Marshals, approval of amendment to the overtime program agreement, the M13D79-0-000774, between the United States Marshal Service and the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office, reducing the award amount from $31,000 to $27,000.
so moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item number 2 is the approval to unappropriate funds in the amount of $4,000 in order to comply with the amended overtime agreement as stated above.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C, presentation, discussion, consideration, and approval of a memorandum of understanding, MOU, between the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and Safe Streets Task Force Violent Crime Unit and the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item D, the final one is authorization and approval to accept an 18-month no-cost extension for our COPS hiring program grant.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
Thank you, sir. Item 9A, RDA's office.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Morning, sir.
We're requesting approval to redistribute cost allocation as follows, effective March 1st of 2013. We're just trying to use up all the grant funds.
Move for approval.
That's for
Biden.
one and two.
1 and 2.
What's the impact, if any, on the budget?
There is none. Commissioner, this is, as far as the DA Board of Prosecution Fund, that's 1281. That is not General Fund 1100. Now, the 1100, which is, well, there's a combination of the House Bill 65, which is also a different fund, and that's specific to the DA's office. House Bill 65 is DA's office as well as the Sheriff Law Enforcement. They have separate accounts for that particular fund. So I don't, again, without looking at the appropriate backup, I don't believe there's an impact right now to the general fund.
Fund 1100
But again, I have not
is
seen
included
the backup. I'm sorry?
in there. Fund 1100 is included in there.
Is that a reserved amount?
I don't know.
Okay, that's a reserve, that's forfeiture funds.
Yes. Forfeiture fund.
So it's not
So, no.
general fund?
There's no impact to the general fund at all.
So the general fund, even though it's 1100,
But it's,
That's correct.
so the forfeitures are budgeted under 1100?
It's 1223,
It should be 1220, the House bill?
it's 1223.
It's Program 86. However, this would actually be saving from the forfeiture fund, and it'll be saving funds from the House Bill 65 funds. It'll be now paid 100% from the grant beginning March 11th through the end of the grant period, and then we'll request for the same allocation for the next grant cycle as well.
Need a second.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second for approval. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Eddie?
Item, we're going to wait a few more minutes.
Right, we have 5 minutes
Eddie
before
has
the
been
hearing.
posted for 10:30. Where is Eddie? Anyway, the meeting has been posted for 10:30. It's
10:30.
10:25. So let's move on to item B, our indigent healthcare program. Eddie? Yes, sir. We're waiting on item A, 10A, but would like to proceed on item 10B.
Hold on, sir. Let me catch up to you. We have item 10A, sir, for the hearing today. We're scheduled to have the hearing at 10:30.
I know,
sir.
that's why we're going over to 10B.
And 10B, okay, 10B, indigent healthcare services. Item 1, discussion and action including but limited to indigent healthcare program limiting waiver. There's no action on that, sir, or discussion. We'll do that during the hearing. And then number C, sir, item C is approval of memorandum of agreement between Remote Area Medical Foundation and the County of Hidalgo. This particular memorandum of agreement is an agency that's coming in and helping us during Operation Lone Star to help provide equipment for dental services. The agreement is subject, it's been reviewed by legal counsel, but their insurance package will be submitted today, sir. So I would recommend pending insurance verification today that this be approved with the clear understanding that the insurance would be pending, and that would be submitted today around noon. That's when they're submitting it to us.
And also the effective date needs to be changed, right?
And the effective date will be effective
Today?
once yes, correct, once the insurance is received today, sir.
So what, the agreement itself has a July 17th effective date.
Can we have permission to just
Yeah,
put the
it needs
date
to
on
be
there?
changed. That's what I'm saying,
I'll
it
check
should be-
with Victor
date needs to be changed.
yeah.
We have a motion to approve. Need a second?
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Just a quick question, sir. So, Mr. Fracio, it's okay, we just pencil and put the date
Yeah,
effective
that's what I'm
today?
saying, it needs to be changed, and then the insurances need to be provided. It should be
All right. Thank you, sir.
Item D is requesting approval to submit amendment to renew grant application for tuberculosis funding program FY14 in the amount of $148,732. This grant amendment requires a 20% local match, which we work closely and actually exceed that from the local fund. So we meet all requirements and has been reviewed by council and budget officer.
So move. Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And
Still have
then-
about 4 minutes. Eddie.
Yeah, so I think there was
We're going to take care of
another-
item 11, the fire marshal.
Yes, sir. I'll move away. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Judge,
sir.
Commissioners. Requesting approval to process the following invoice as a claim with the authority for the county treasurer to issue check after auditing procedures are completed by the county auditor. It is at Verizon Wireless. What happened is the invoice was sent forward to the IT department. The dates were accidentally changed. So this is to fix that change and take care of the invoice.
Move for approval.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
Thank you.
On item 12, sir, I have nothing of any significance at this time.
All right, sir. Item 13,
Ran on.
our IT department.
I guess I'm up to bat on that one, sir. Basically, I'm just trying to upgrade our services for hurricane season. Sprint just hasn't been able to get the 4G system down here. Everything's slowing up, so we're having to move over to Verizon Wireless on a month-to-month. It'll only be an upfront cost of buying the phones, which we were going to have to do anyway once Sprint's upgrades. As far as the cost, it's going to be the same monthly cost.
Move for approval.
Second.
So we're going to have two phones? One
I'm sorry,
from Sprint? We're going to have two phones?
No, sir,
One
I'm
from
doing away
Sprint?
with Sprint, and I'll probably get credit from Sprint on the phones that I'm going to turn in. I just didn't want to say that because I'm not sure. I should get about $100 credit, but we're going to switch from Sprint, switch over to Verizon Wireless.
So court already approved the deletion of the Sprint services?
I'm sorry, sir?
Has court approved the deletion of the Sprint services yet?
I'm only up here because IT didn't come up. I don't know how that works, but I'm pretty sure they do it all the time. I'm pretty sure they did.
That's what I was wondering, because right now you have Sprint, and now you're
Yes,
going to
sir.
have Verizon.
Yes, on the background, we've done the work with Sprint. We've told them what's happening. We've given them a cutoff date, and it shouldn't overlap. Was that the vote, sir?
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve item 11A, or, excuse me, 13A. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Urban County.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners.
Morning, Ms. Edna.
We only have one item on the agenda this week, and this is for a resolution authorizing a $500,000 revolving line of credit with the Lone Star National Bank of McAllen for the Urban County program with the authority for the Urban County to draw from such line of credit. This, of course, is needed so that we can pay upfront the expenses that we incur from the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, the Texas Department of Agriculture, and the General Land Office.
Second.
Judge,
Those in fa-
we recommend no action on this item until bond counsel has an opportunity to review. I know this is a yearly event.
This is an annual event.
However, I think it has never been reviewed by bond counsel. That's our recommendation, that bond counsel should take a look at this.
I'm not sure I understand why bond counsel would be involved in this.
Well, the county is borrowing money, and any time the
That's
county
the
borrows
agreement,
money.
Mr. Fracas, that's the agreement the county makes when they actually
You can,
sign the
approve
contracts
something
with the
to bond
state.
counsel review.
I'd have no problem with that. It's just
I'll
that
amend the motion to read with bond counsel.
Approve subject to bond counsel.
Subject to bond counsel approval. All right, we have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Olivares, it's 10:30, Eddie, we can,
Yes, sir.
tell us how you want us to proceed.
I got a quick handout to give you.
So do it.
Eddie, dale una Joseph, he's going to be coming back.
Going to the public hearing part.
Ahorita que me diga dónde.
Judge, Commissioners, my name is Eddie Olivares, Hidalgo County Health and Human Services, but I'm here to discuss today and have a public hearing involving the Hidalgo County Healthcare Funding District, which was formally formed last week by Commissioners Court, and each member of the Commissioners Court are the members of the Hidalgo County Healthcare Funding District in accordance to Senate Bill 1623, which was passed on June 16th of this year, and it was sponsored by Senator Chuy Hinojosa, who has been a tremendous champion for the cause of healthcare in South Texas. I'd like to pursue to item 10A, sir, and item 1A is to hold a public hearing to consider the public comments concerning the amount of mandatory payment required to be paid by paying hospitals for fiscal year 2013 and how the revenue derived from these payments is to be spent. At this point, sir, before we go with the hearing, I'd like just to give a basic overview of some things that you all need to have an idea about what we're looking at. And I also would like to have Mr. Carlos Zaffarini, if he could join me up here. He is a legal counsel, also represents hospitals. In the event there's questions or concerns, we could, between all of us, we could figure out how the answers and what happens. But let me give a basic overview. I gave you a handout, a one-pager. It's front and back. If you look at the back, sir, we're looking at in Hidalgo County, this law actually represents Cameron, Hidalgo, and Webb counties. But we're going to deal with, of course, Hidalgo County. In Hidalgo County, we're looking at 9 different hospitals which would be impacted by this fee from 1623 in the Hidalgo County Health Fund District. And that's Doctors Hospital Renaissance, Snap Medical Center, Mission Regional Medical Center, Cornerstone Regional Hospital, Life Care Hospital of South Texas, Westaco Rehab Hospital.
Hold on, you're going too fast. After Mission, what did you say?
The list here, sir.
Okay,
I'm sorry, sir.
thank you.
But I just wanted to read the hospitals in for the record, so we could have it on record. Life Care Hospital of South Texas, Westaco Rehab Hospital, Solera Hospital McAllen, Rio Grande Regional Hospital, Edinburgh Regional Hospital. These hospital systems or hospitals are the ones that are going to be participating in the 1623 or Hidalgo County Health Funding District as form of revenue. These 9 hospitals, in accordance to the state law, says that we need to look at their net revenue and set a rate based on that net revenue. Now, the whole purpose of the law was for our county to be able to take advantage of drawing down as much of the federal match possible involving the 1115 waiver and some of the programming involved in those areas. The primary reason for that revenue to be used, that would be collected, would be for uncompensated care and for DSRIP programs that are going to be written up. We got a deadline of August 31st to write up some new DSRIP programs to help deal with some of the future activities in the county. Questions so far or concerns?
How did we get to that 0.82%? Is that the statute? Or,
What
or was
we're
it
looking
something
at-
that was agreed upon?
Right. If the 8.255%, 0.8255 is based on the maximum amount that we could be able to maximize the drawdown based on the revenue. So that was figured, when you look at that 1.27 billion that's looked at as a total revenue for the 9 hospitals, and you apply the 0.8255 to that, we would look at having for this quarter, for last year, because we're collecting for last year, at $10,515,300. If we look at this for the next 3 years at this rate, we will be able to maximize as much of the drawdown allowable by the state and federal government to our county hospitals in our area, sir.
So the 10 million will bring us how much?
That would be that would be the multiplier involved with that as well. That's how much we would be drawing down, right? That's what goes into IGT. So we're looking at 10 million plus 10 million, so it comes out to like 22 million, 23 million approximately. So it's 10.1 plus 10.1, that's 20.2 plus 5.6, that's like 25, 26 million. It would be multiplied, returned back as a multiplier.
So you're going after the
2.5.
the maximum.
That would be yeah. That would be the 1 point, it's 1.5 times or 60% of the initial revenue is what would come back to us. So it's about 25, 26 million.
Judge,
By net patient revenue, we're talking about monies actually collected as opposed to earned.
That is based on the net revenue, yeah, correct, from the hospitals. Mr. Fracio?
the question that I have is the law allowed the Commissioner's Court to create a district.
Yes,
And it
sir.
was created last week, right?
Correct, sir.
So the district is now a separate entity. So my question is, does the district have to, one, have an agenda and conduct business as a district?
No, the
By itself?
the law is specifically clear that the district is not a separate legal entity from the county.
But that's a question that I had for Mr. Safarini.
Well, it's stated in the law, that specifically.
And the other question that I have is not a separate entity, but does it need to have its own federal ID number because those funds are going to be placed in the
Mr.
county
Fracio,
depository?
If it's not a separate legal entity, it will not require a separate tax ID number.
Okay. So the monies are going into the county depository, so it's
No.
going to be treated as a county department then? Not so much a separate
If you
district?
recall, there was an item on either the last week's agenda or this week's agenda where the healthcare funding district is selecting Lone Star Bank as its depository.
Right. But
So
see,
it'll be a separate account
It'll be a
within Lone
separate
Star.
account, so those funds cannot be commingled with county funds.
Right.
I don't think we need a separate account, but anyways, but that's the question that I have is it a separate district, a separate, because the Commissioner's Court becomes the commission now, right?
Thank you, Judge. Commissioners Carlos Safirini on behalf of the hospitals. Mr. Fracio, thank you for your question. I think the statute reads fairly clearly as to the fact that the county and the district are one entity in and of themselves. There legally cannot not be any kind of separation between the two. It's just a way to bifurcate the local provider participation fund from other pools of funding that the county might have. The legislature approved this on a go-forward basis and statutorily requires that the dollars collected as part of the mandatory payment rate be separate and apart from all other county funds so that they don't get commingled with the other funding. So there actually, by statute, has to be a depository that is separate and apart from everything else. And so any payments, any mandatory payments, which operate somewhat like a tax, would go into this depository, and the county could then independently choose to utilize whatever funds are in the depository to put into an IGT for the waiver.
Right.
Am I answering your question okay?
Well, the way that I see it, Judge, is like the drainage district. The Commissioner's Court created the drainage district, and now the Commissioner's Court is a board governing body for the drainage district. So I'm looking at this sort of like a district separate.
And I think that's actually
Steve can answer that.
And the Commissioner's Court, but can I finish my question, or my thought? And the
Steve,
Commissioner's
is it
Court
right?
now is the commission, the governing body of the district. That's what I'm looking at from that standpoint.
Is the drainage district
The
a
drainage
separate?
district is a separate legal entity.
Right.
This one is not?
This Senate bill stated that the healthcare funding district is not a separate legal entity. But this Commissioner's Court is the body that is the governing body of the healthcare funding district.
Yeah.
Right, separate statutes.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking, Judge, that possibly, I don't know, that the district would have to publish its own agenda and have its own, actions taken as a separate.
Mr. Fracio, what I understand what you're saying, and that's a discussion we had with Mr. Crane, and a discussion we actually had with some of the officials at the state level, and kind of reviewed, since this is not separate from the county, according to statute, we could set up an agenda item where we would have a topic that would be Hidalgo County Health, Community Health Funding District within the body of the county agenda, but it would be a separate sub-agenda within that body, like we deal with Health and Human Services or Health. It'll be the same, but there will be an additional area involving the district. That's the way I understand that it's allowed, since it is not a separate entity from the county. That still could be within the operations and the auspices within
So
the
what we're
county.
going to basically be doing is just taking care of the money and handling it, accepting it from the hospitals, sending it to the government, getting the check back from the government, sending those checks to the hospitals.
No.
Just because, that's the main question that I have. See, on any funds that are in the county depository, the county treasurer and the county auditor sign checks. So the question is now, is this a county department where now the county treasurer and the county auditor are going to control those funds? I
Okay,
don't know.
here's the way I'm understanding it. That's why we set up the agenda today, where we would deal with the districts that.
Do you want to open up the meeting, this part of the meeting, or is that going to be a separate issue?
Sure, let's
If you want to open the meeting, Judge, you're the chair, so you could decide if you want to open the meeting, that's fine.
Judge, I have one more question of Eddie and Mr. Zaffarini.
All right.
The amounts you're showing on Exhibit A of the net patient revenue, are those the 2010 amounts? I just want to confirm that.
Yes, that's off the statute as we.
Right, so you got these from the state agency that the hospitals report their net patient revenue to for year 2010?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect.
I had one other question.
Yes, sir.
Is the county going to be entitled to charge an administrative fee for the handling of these dollars?
The law says the county can charge up to $20,000 for administrative fees for this event, for this process. That is going to be figured into the total amount collected from the hospitals as well.
I think the Texas Sister Collector is the one that is
Yes.
authorized to charge the administrative fee.
That's correct.
20,000, what, a transaction?
Up to
or
20,000.
A year or?
A year.
My understanding is a year, sir, per year. That's my understanding.
Eddie,
Yes, sir.
are you going to be using the same numbers or percentage? You mentioned .8255.
Correct.
That is for the next 3 years, or?
Yes, sir. That would be the set rate that we would look at through 2016.
But what you're setting the rate for right
this year.
now is just this year.
Federal
You-
fiscal year 2013.
And every year, you're required to come back and have another public hearing and set the mandatory payment rate.
So it'll be a different percentage.
It could be a
Could
different
be.
percentage.
Could be.
All right, well, at this time, let's convene this public hearing to consider the public comments concerning the amount of mandatory payments required to be paid by paying hospitals that have been identified as those 9 for fiscal year 2013 and how the revenue derived from those payments is to be spent. Is there anyone here that desires to make any comments in favor of, in opposition to, or in any way related to the issue at hand?
Sir, you're opening it to public comment, correct?
Yes, well, you can,
Any of the hospitals, any folks, public comment? Go ahead. This is an opportunity.
we
Judge.
want to make sure that we address Mr. Townsend's earlier question. This is not a taxing district. The monies involved have nothing to do with any money to be being paid by any taxpayer in the county.
I understand the difference now between the two. I do kind of relate to what Mr. Efracio said. I don't know how it's going to work where you just do this within the agenda for the Commissioners Court. It seems, who has fiduciary responsibility for that money?
Well, the county will. I mean, it's not our money. It's entrusted to us.
It just, you pass through, right?
Right.
And yet it's up to you all. If you all are comfortable with it, then that's
Yeah,
fine.
well, that's part of our obligation. I guess we're in in the capacity of a trustee because the
Yes.
statute requires the county commissioners court to be provide that particular service.
Even though I understand it, it's still a little convoluted. It's a little,
In the end, it means about an additional $16 million for indigent healthcare payments to the hospitals for the services that they provide to our indigent clients,
I understand.
residents.
That's why it has to be.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Judge, Commissioners, Mr. Eufrasio, Mr. Crane, Carlos Zaffirini on behalf of the hospitals. I wanted to clarify one point on that. This is not a pass-through of funding. This is statutorily a mandatory payment that is assessed on the hospitals that operates somewhat like a tax. And the county is entrusted with that and its role as the Hidalgo County Healthcare Funding District. Under the statute, the healthcare funding district can either utilize the funding to put it into an intergovernmental transfer to help support the Medicaid payments for the safety net hospitals in the region. In other parts of the state, as we've discussed in the past, Dallas County, Houston, and Harris County, and other communities have access to 100% of the funding available to them. We created this new opportunity via the legislation so that we can be on par with the other safety net systems across the state. This gives us that opportunity, and I'm here on behalf of all the safety net hospitals in the region to express the support for a tax rate at 0.8255 and request, I guess there's another...
At that rate, Mr. Zaffirini, are we going to be accessing all the monies that are available?
Yes, we've had interim data, and we still have interim data from the state, but assuming that the funding district and county would agree to that and agree to utilize the mandatory payments to fund the waiver, 100% of the available dollars would be drawn down for the first time in South Texas.
All right.
There are 9 hospitals?
Excuse me?
There are nine entities involved in this?
Yes, sir.
They're all listed here.
Only six individuals sitting up front, so is there other individuals that are?
They were invited, and there was public notice. I assume if they had any concerns, they would attend.
But aren't they supposed to vote on this or not? Somewhere in the statute talks about that the hospitals are during this public hearing are required to agree to the fee or to the
We don't agree to anything. The healthcare funding district chooses to assess a mandatory payment rate on the hospitals. We hope that the healthcare funding district proceed with that and utilize the funding for a waiver payment. Webb Cameron and Cameron County have proceeded. Hidalgo County is the last community in South Texas just because of timing. We're finally here. We hope that this will move forward so that we can be on par with the rest of the state and for the first time claim 100%.
So, Mr. Safarini, you're saying that not all of the hospitals have to agree to the mandatory fee?
No, I mean...
None of the hospitals have to agree to it.
No.
I'm sorry?
None of the hospitals have to agree to it.
We could object. This is an independent decision on the part of the healthcare funding district. We can propose something, as we are now, but there is no obligation on the part of the funding district or the county to actually do that. We cannot dictate in any form what happens here. We look to the law, we look to the statute in itself, and the healthcare funding district chooses to do what's best for the safety net in its community.
So the mandatory payment fee is set and established by the commission?
Yes, sir.
Eddie, can you state again the benefit?
We rely on their guidance.
The benefit between last year or the previous years on what we got on indigent with the multiplier versus what the county would be benefiting from this new vehicle?
I think one of the things that last week I handed you all out a chart that actually broke down all the different. This gets very complicated for the simple reason that there's like 5 different events happening at the same time involving healthcare. And like I said, you got the UPL or the old system that we had, managed care, 1115 waiver, medical school, funding district, and then of course I put on there any concerns in the future that may come up. All those levels all deal with healthcare, but they're all individually separate. So, but they all get kind of intertwined. Where we are having, by taking part in this bill passing, this law passing, gives our hospital groups here in South Texas the opportunity to access, we left approximately, I want to use that word very clearly, approximately about $500 million on the table for the South Texas region that we could not develop intergovernmental transfer, or IGT, for, to be able to draw down that funding.
That 500 is over a period of how long?
It's over a 4-year period. The whole program is 5 years long. We're looking at, and we're already working into, we're finishing year 2, going through year 3, 4, and 5 in the future. Yeah. Some of it's already been drawn down.
Some of it, Houston and Dallas and some of the larger communities have claimed it, so it wouldn't be as large. Our goal is to find a way to claim what's available once the numbers are final in the fall.
And we don't have those numbers yet. So we're trying to maximize, keep others from taking whatever's left on the table. Yes, sir.
Question for the budget office, Sergio.
Sergio.
What impact would this have on the amount of money the county's putting in on the indigent health care?
That would be unrelated. This is a totally separate district, solely, it's for the same purpose. It's still for, it would still be for uncompensated care, both amounts. However, the county, during the budget process, would be able to now look at both contributions, see what, and adjust accordingly, however the county feels. But they are.
It would have, what I understand, it would not have an impact on the current budget.
That is correct. It would not have an impact on the current budget.
It should have it, though. I mean, that's what we've been talking about every time we've met. If there's a possibility that the county could be involved in trying to save a little bit from that 8 million, but that's another issue that we're going to be acting on whenever that's on the agenda. But that's what we've been pushing for.
Just but not on the current budget, because the current budget monies are gone. $8 million was transferred over to the state.
Those have already been transferred over,
They're
yes.
gone.
Yeah, this would be something that we would discuss during the 2014 budget process, which we'll be having workshop
For the 2014
coming weeks.
budget.
That's correct.
Raul, you have any comments?
Commissioner Paz, a public hearing here as a private resident. I just had a couple of questions. I wanted to ask, or be it confirmed, that this does not provide additional coverage for additional residents. This is not an expansion of indigent health care. This will not serve more people. This is simply intended to provide compensation to the hospitals for uncompensated care. You know, I wanted to confirm that, if that's correct.
That's my understanding, and I'm sure that's.
What was the question?
I'm saying that this is not an expansion of services.
No.
This is simply will provide compensation to hospitals for what they call uncompensated care.
And future disrupt programs.
Because of the unusually or the high number of indigent population that we have.
Okay,
and the
again,
healthcare that they
yes, sir.
provide.
And as a citizen, uncompensated care does not mean that that care has not been paid for. That care is borne by, passed on to the consumer, people that have insurance, people that pay for cash. So that uncompensated care is already being paid for by other people. But now that some federal dollars are available for that uncompensated care, hopefully there will be some reduction in the cost of services to people that have insurance or pay cash by these hospitals. That's my other comment.
Is that a question or a comment?
That's a question. I don't know if it can be answered.
We have 6 people here that have a say-so in that.
Sir, I can help answer that real quick. First of all, the statute is very clear, the law is very clear that any cost that is used for this fee cannot be passed to the patient or the clients, can't. And if it is, there's consequences. And really, there's no benefit to pass it in having a chance of risking losing this capability versus passing it to the patient. So it's not cost effective to do that.
No, what I'm saying is, can we see a reduction in cost?
Oh, I see.
A reduction in cost to the average consumer that is paying through insurance or cash. given that they have access to this money for uncompensated care that has been compensated through another source?
I think that what this does is put the state, or South Texas, on par with the rest of the state. It helps control costs. If we weren't able to claim those federal funds, the cost could actually increase. At a minimum, this keeps the safety net stable. And we would look, I don't want to speak for them, I can't predict the future, but certainly if we find a way to access DSRIP funds, it would create new projects that help identify better ways to increase access and delivery of care. So I hope that answers your question.
The whole purpose of all this funding is part of the transformation program at the federal level. This whole transformation of healthcare involves decreasing inpatient, increasing preventative medicine, increasing awareness to help save in the long term, to look at saving funding and public funds and governmental funds on the cost of healthcare services. The other thing that the law says, and I just want to put this real clear, the law is very clear, 1623 is very clear that this is not part of the expansion program or any way related to Affordable Care Act or expansion. That's very clear in the law. I just want to put that for the record as well.
My question, you talked about $20,000 the county would be charging to take care of this. Are we going to end up having to hire someone and pay more to take care of this? Or is this $20,000 going to take care of it? Usually we have to hire a person to do that position, and I just wonder where that salary is going to come from.
I think we're talking about very small amount of time and accepting money and depositing it and sending it out.
Well, every time someone, gets a new duty.
I don't believe we anticipate hiring any new person to do that.
Okay, just want to be sure that $20,000 can't possibly take care of a salary. Thank you.
Eddie, the question has come up before and is coming up again in reference to approval by the federal government of this district or this funding. Is there a formal approval of this by the federal government, CMS mainly?
CMS has approved this, the working with the state. We work directly with the state of Texas HHSC. That's who we work with. Now, the state of Texas works with CMS, and it's between Texas and CMS. That's my understanding. Am I correct?
Yes, I think that the way this works is providers have a contract under Medicaid with the state directly, and so we work with our partner in Medicaid, the state of Texas. We don't get ahead of them. What I predict will happen is the state of Texas, who has clearly been behind this legislation, would say CMS, and they have apparently had communications with them. CMS has tracked this the whole way through. If they have questions, they have questions. But I can tell you that they have approved this model and are utilizing it in Phoenix, where I'm involved in putting that together, in Tempe, in Tucson, and in Philadelphia. And so there are other markets that are utilizing this tool, this opportunity in a mandatory payment to access their fair share of the entitlement available to them in their local waivers.
Okay. Yeah, because I understand how that works. I mean, but you cannot ignore CMS because they're still out there.
Absolutely.
Even though our relationship is with the state.
Yes, sir.
CMS somehow has to sign off on
If
on
HHSC requests our assistance in communicating with CMS, I would gladly go with the hospitals to Washington or Maryland to go meet with them.
I was just wondering if there's anything documented where CMS has said we have reviewed and
If you would like a copy of the Phoenix approval of this model, I'm more than happy to share that with you.
No, I'm looking for the one here in Texas.
It's not, tax law is a state issue.
Okay.
And so the state of Texas implemented a mandatory payment under its ability to implement taxes, and that's what we're looking to. It's not a federal issue. Now, Medicaid is, but that's HHSC's job, and we're not going to get out in front of HHSC because that's not what good partners do.
Are there any other questions? I don't know.
Again, there's no cost, or there's not going to hurt the county in any way, just to make it clear.
Sir, and this is strictly between hospitals
And the government.
And the government and the funding district that would act as the administrator of the fund from the hospital, sir.
Good, okay.
I'm not sure there's any other questions from the public.
Are there any other individuals that desire to make any comments? If not, we're going to close. Are we ready to close it, or?
We could close, sir, and then move on to accepting the rate and everything else, sir.
All right, this time we are closing a public hearing and moving on to item A1B.
Sir, considering the information is provided to the funding district commissioners and the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court, item B is consideration and possible approval of mandatory payment. That's mandatory payment assessed by the quarterly Hidalgo County Health Funding District on the net patient revenue of the institutional healthcare providers and how the revenue derived from those payments. On item B, sir, any additional questions or anything before you take action on that?
You recommend?
How is this going to work? Who's going to do it, the treasurer, the auditor? or-
So the way we're working, we've worked with the county tax assessor's office, we've worked with the treasurer's office, we're working with the auditor's office, working with the budget office. The way I understand it, sir, is that once the rate is set, a figure is determined, there would be an invoice submitted by the tax assessor's office. That invoice would be submitted to the participating hospitals. That money would be collected to the tax assessor. That money then would be reverted over to the county treasurer, and that would be deposited, submitted into the account or depository as approved by this body, which is an action we're going to take next on here. Once it's submitted there, then we will follow through with action from the court where the money would be IGT'd with action taken through auditors and treasurers to submit the money to the federal government for IGT, and that would return back to the hospitals once it's IGT'd.
I don't think the money.
Did I
should be
miss a
sent-
step? Did I miss a step anywhere?
Not to the federal government, right?
Oh, to the state, excuse me,
To
to
the
the state.
state.
I apologize, to the state.
Now, Eddie, have you had discussions as far as the account? Because earlier council was saying that the money cannot be commingled, there has to be a separate bank account, all right? So the Texas Assessor Collector will have to open up a separate bank account to collect these funds? And then the county would have another separate bank account?
My understanding, sir, based on legal counsel's input, was that there needs to be a separate bank account. That's my understanding.
That's why I'm going by what he said.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
And I am too.
In my opinion, we don't need separate bank accounts as long as you can identify those funds that we getting and we deposit it into
The statute
those.
specifically speaks to a separate depository.
I'm sorry?
It's not a matter of tracing the dollars through the system. The statute requires us, so we are statutorily obligated to create a depository where the funds cannot be commingled,
Right.
and it's separate and apart.
This same language is in other statutes that the county collects funds on, and we don't have a separate bank account for each revenue that we collect.
Again,
We
separate
have a
statute.
separate ledger account, a county ledger account, and we can account for all those funds, but they put into.
I can't speak to other statutes. I can speak to what this one
But that's what I'm saying, that's my confusion and the question that I have is, we gotta have one bank account at the
If,
Texas Assessor Collector?
Mr. Frasco, if you were to ask the recommendation, I'm going based on legal counsel that it would be a separate depository that's clearly indicated in the state law that requires a separate depository. Based on that alone, that's where the decision we're going. As far as procedurally, what is done between your office and treasurers, and I would leave that up to you and treasurers, but sir, the law says separate depository.
Okay, so going by that, the Texas Assessor Collector will have to open up a separate bank account for these fees, so they can deposit it into there.
Are there going to be deadlines imposed? I know we're going to do it quarterly, but the county's not going to be responsible for finding out how much revenue they make. They're going to be provided the information in order to compute the mandatory payment.
That's correct, sir.
And if they don't provide it within a certain period of time,
They don't collect the money. There's a penalty and.
I don't think that would be a problem.
I don't think so, because they're gonna leverage those funds, so they'll.
If a hospital were not to pay the mandatory payment, the statute provides for a penalty of some sort, and I'm not overly familiar with penalties in tax law, but I would assume that it would involve something of a usual and customary.
Late fee or whatever it's called?
The statute does not speak specifically to the penalty.
See, and that's the other question that we had, because this statute refers you to the tax code in terms of penalties and interest. That other tax code statute talks about you charge a penalty of a percentage for the first month and then any subsequent month. it's another percentage, and then on July 1st, they become delinquent and all that.
No,
So
no,
that's,
Mr. Eufrasio, I think it's in the interest of every hospital here to hand deliver the check to you to make sure that we don't miss a deadline.
that's what I was saying earlier. I don't think there's going to be a problem.
I will hand deliver it to you if you would
Yeah,
like.
I don't think there will be a problem. Now, the other question is, it's a quarterly payment, right?
I'm sorry?
This is a quarterly payment.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir. It's
Can
to be
they
assessed
opt
quarterly.
to give you 4 quarters at one time?
I think that there would be an argument for it, but what we're looking to do is stay consistent with the statute and what the state timeline that they're setting up. Our recommendation to the court would be, let's go quarterly and assess it quarterly. The tax rate would be fixed for the federal fiscal year, and in subsequent fiscal years, we'd come back, revisit what the rate would be. We'd make a recommendation. If the commission or the court decides to proceed like that, wonderful. And if not,
Which is afraid because the county was doing the same thing. The county was paying on a quarterly basis into the UPL and the 1115 waiver. But this year, the county opted to do the entire 4 quarters.
I think administrative simplicity is one thing, one aspect of why that was done. The other issue that was, yeah, I mean, they're 2 separate programs if you think about it. You have
No, but can the Texas Assessor Building or a hospital opt to?
But that wasn't under the
entire
mandatory
annual-
payment.
I'm sorry?
The $8 million is unrelated to the mandatory payment. It's the traditional historical program that ran through the traditional UPL program that transitioned into the waiver, and this is viewed by the state, the Local Provider Participation Fund, as a supplement to the traditional dollars. I think that the reason that was done is there were such large gaps between the supplemental payments. When traditionally it was done every quarter, the state got delayed in a big way. And so the safety net hospitals went probably 8 months, 10 months without $1 of support. And so because we were unsure, and we're still unsure, about when we will actually have access to the supplemental payments, the decision and the request, and we're grateful for it, was to help the safety net hospitals by putting that into one IGT so that we wouldn't have huge 10-month gaps between payments.
I understand all of that.
And we're grateful for it. Thank you.
My question is, can a hospital opt to give the entire annual payment at once instead of waiting for the invoice on a quarterly basis?
Carlos, Eddie, can I answer that?
Yeah.
I think the best answer is, there's 2 parts to that answer. The first part is the healthcare funding district is going to follow the terms of the statute.
That's exactly right.
The second part of it is the hospital will only pay what they're invoiced by the amount of the mandatory payments you set and when you send them out.
Why pay in advance?
Yeah, and when we cut the checks to the hospital, we're doing it on a pro rata basis, depending on the amount of revenue they made and the amount of their check.
That's correct. See, sir, the other thing I think, just to settle the concern Mr. Fracio has, the funding district commissioners yourselves would determine that. The hospitals are not going to determine that.
All right, any other questions?
Eddie, what's your recommendation on that?
My recommendations are on item B is to set the rate at 0.8255% of net revenue that is assessed, and currently, just for the numbers, we're looking at nine hospital partners at the net revenue being $1,276,267,537. If you look at that 0.8255, there would be $10,515,300 that would be available to be collected by our assessor. But when you add the $20,000 to be used for administrative fee, the grand total that would be collected would be $10,535,300, sir.
Move for approval.
Second. Eddie, the question that I have-
Before you vote, Eddie, I just want to correct one thing for the record. The net patient revenue for year 210 was not 1 million, it was 1 billion.
I said 1 billion.
Well, he said 1 billion.
Yeah,
1 billion, one with a B.
With a B. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Now, Eddie, on the agenda item, you have a language saying that you request an approval of the payment and also how the revenues is to be spent.
Yes, sir.
And you're talking about just the Exhibit A? There's no procedures on how the monies are going to be spent?
to answer your question on how the money is to be spent, is to be spent on uncompensated care, which we already have procedures set up through 1115 and through the process with the state. And it'll also be used for dish rep programming that's to be developed and submitted by the August 31st deadline for this coming year in the future that would be impacted as well.
Where's that at, Eddie? Is there somewhere else or no? Is that in this
No, it's not in there, sir.
program?
The district, at the first bullet point that I believe you received, it says that we're waiting on the state to provide updates regarding the available funding through the waiver. We expect to have those numbers probably in the September-October time period. At that point, we'd come back to reassess DSRIP. Right now, there's no DSRIP available for new projects anywhere in the state of Texas.
So what I'm looking at is the commission is approving how the money is going to be spent, but
I think right now we're looking at
some
the mandatory payment
procedures
rate.
on how it's going to be spent. Is it going to be used to subsidize indigent health care or not? Or,
The statute allows for the funding in the local provider participation fund to be used for three things: to make indigent care payments, to put the money into an intergovernmental transfer, and three, I believe it's to help facilities in the community that are affiliated with the hospital in any other subsequent way. I think what we're asking is to go forward with utilizing the funding available through the local provider participation fund to be consistent with the statute and to put it into an intergovernmental transfer. The agenda item that I believe was the court moved on was to establish the mandatory payment rate at 0.8255. If we want to, I'd look to the court if we can discuss the intergovernmental transfer anytime you'd like.
That's coming up in a second.
Yeah.
All right, I wanted to just ask one last question.
Yes, sir.
We got these new dollars coming in, the 16 million, and whether or not that will hopefully have a positive impact on the quality of the health care that the indigent population will be receiving. I know it doesn't mean more people are going to be eligible. I'm just talking about the way that they're being treated. They're getting good quality health care now. I understand the hospitals are losing money. This is a way for the government to help them get more, I guess, properly, fully compensated. And I'm, at least assuming that in the end that will mean a more positive impact on the health care that our indigent population is receiving.
That is correct, sir. 100% correct. That's 100%. And not only that, but an additional, if you think about it in the long term, in the greater scheme of global thinking, it would look at economic impact as well. An overall county, a healthier community provides a greater economic impact to our community in form of business, taking part in the community economy through going to the grocery stores, gasoline, et cetera, procurement. So a healthier community, it's a more vibrant and economic producing community as well.
All right, any other issue, any questions? I believe we have a motion and a second.
Yes, sir.
Approval of item 10A1B. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Sir, 10A1C, consideration and possible approval for Hidalgo County Tax Assessor Collector to collect the mandatory payments required by Hidalgo County Health Care Funding District, sir. Give permission for the tax assessor.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Sir, consideration approval to assess the mandatory payment and set assessment date. The mandatory payment, including the $20,000 administrative fee, would be $10,535,300, and the date would be set today, sir.
Move to approve.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
So you adding 20,000 to this number that is here already?
That's because that's the assessment, fees, everything collected.
Without the
Right.
administrative?
For the
Yeah.
county.
If not, we're gonna have to come back and deal with that later, and just do it all at once.
So what about the dates? Are those in the attached documentation or not?
I'm sorry, would you mind repeating?
Well, agenda item 10A1D talks about set assessment date. So
Yeah.
where's that at? I mean, is it
That's up to the commission,
motion was
that's
to
not-
approve today's date as the assessment date.
also today, okay, so
Yeah, that's
the program is today?
That was what the motion that
Oh,
was
okay, I
passed.
thought we were talking about the building that you're gonna do.
No.
Different thing,
today.
okay. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's item 10A1D, sir. Is there action taken on that?
Yes.
There was? Okay. 10A1E is consideration and approval to designate Lone Star National Bank as a depository for Hidalgo County Health Funding District.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. I was looking at the list of hospitals, and it may be under another name, but is McAllen Medical a part of this?
Yes, it's under Edinburgh.
Under what name?
Edinburgh Regional.
Edinburgh.
Oh.
Edinburgh Regional Hospital, yes.
So all of the hospitals in our county are part of this?
Yes, sir.
What about Life Care Hospital? Is that a new hospital, or I never heard of it?
There's smaller hospitals that are in the area that are rehab and 23-hour care type hospitals.
And Solara Hospital also? Small entities?
Yeah. Okay, item 10A2, discussion, consideration to approve, and here I need to make before I get to the subject, we got official notice that they have given us an extension. Remember, we're looking at a deadline of this Friday, the 26th, for IGT. We've gotten an extension for July 31st, which is next week.
To do
So,
what, Eddie?
To be able to get the money, be able to draw it down and send it to the state, to be able to get it multiplied. We had a real time crunch of this Friday. We were working on a real tight schedule, but we just got a couple of extra days, so that gives us a little bit of breathing room. So with that in mind, I want to propose item 2A is discussion, consideration, and approval to draw down $6,113,326 if available to the County of Hidalgo Medicaid Supplement Program escrow account. We have been told not only that we got an extension, but we've also been notified that there is a potential for us to draw down as much as 10.5 million. This is 6.1, but we also have an opportunity to draw up to 10.5. So one of the things that we're looking at is trying to, we'll follow through with this action today here, but we would like to have your permission, if we have availability to draw the additional 3+ million, that we could come back next week and look at drawing that additional 3, so we could go ahead and invest the whole 10.5 if available to
And
us.
where is this money coming from?
Somebody will set aside.
Eddie?
Sergio?
These funds are what we're going to assess to the hospitals based on the rate that the court just approved on the mandatory payment rate. We would assess it to the net patient revenue, and then we would send invoices to each of the hospitals for those amounts, totaling, at this point, it'll total to the $10.5 million.
So the name of the account that we're setting up is the County of Hidalgo Medicaid Supplemental Program escrow account?
No, that account is already there, Judge. So the monies that are going to be collected, again, they're going to first be placed into an account at the Texas Assessor Collector. Then he's going to be transferred to the county. And then the county, what he does, he puts it into this account so it can be swept by the state.
Correct.
That's how it normally works.
Okay.
Judge, but going back to this agenda item, my recommendation is to take no action on this agenda item. We don't have any funds available for you to draw down, so you're approving the drawdown of funds that are not there yet. We haven't even opened up the bank accounts. And so as such, I cannot certify any revenues yet.
The problem is the deadline. If we got to the 31st, today is the 23rd.
You're having a meeting on the 30th, so you can approve it on the 30th, and then we can transfer them on the 31st. I cannot certify revenues that are not available.
Well, obviously, we can always pass it subject to your, making sure that the money gets in there.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, that I cannot do that until...
We don't want to delay it and cause...
But if we pass it, then you can go ahead and do what you need to do.
My recommendation would be to place it on the meeting of the 30th. You get it approved, the money's already going to be there, account's already going to be established, and then we transfer them to the,
Can we pass it subject to?
Subject to-
audit review?
Subject.
All right.
Can we do that, Steve?
I think that's appropriate.
So
Yeah,
moved.
second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
So, sir, the action taken then was to go ahead and bring this back on next Tuesday to,
that's my recommendation.
We're gonna-
Again,
we passed
For the
amount,
difference.
We don't know, Judge.
You need to tell the tax collector to make sure that, he sends out the letters requesting the monies and that they receive them, and then satisfy the auditor that the money's there before we cut the check.
very
And Eddie,
good.
and if you're able to draw up more, you'll be bringing
If
back
we're
the
able to
agenda.
draw up more, we'll
More,
bring
then
it
you
back
can bring
next,
it back.
next week on
Yeah.
Tuesday as well.
Okay.
Let me, one question, Mr. Eufrasio. Assuming that the mandatory payments are made and everything meets the deadlines as we're laying out here in front of the commission, are there any other concerns that you might have that would hold up a certification?
No, that's what I was saying, that if court takes action on the 30th, we can transfer the monies for the 30th.
Right, no, that's right. But so your concern is, assuming that if we are able to make all the mandatory payments and there are sufficient funds in the local provider participation fund, you're comfortable with certifying that we can put that into an IGT? And if not, what other issues are outstanding?
That's the only issue. These monies are coming from the hospitals, and we're going to place into account, and then we're going to transfer them to the state. I have no issue with that. The only issue I have is that there's no money there. Court is approving it.
I just want to make sure I do,
Subject to.
right, subject to your approval, but I just want to make sure I do my job of responding to all your questions, and if there are any other outstanding issues,
That's the only issue
we're fairly notified.
Yeah, that's the only issue that I have, that they're doing it before, they're putting, as my friend says, the cart before the horse.
Now, we're just giving you the tools to act on, take care of without missing the deadline. That's all we're doing.
All right, on item B, I guess we're going to not take any action.
Not take any action.
There's no money to certify.
Right, subject to, of course, that's correct. And
Item C.
And item C is approval of 2013 appropriation funds for demonstration Y year 2 IGT. We'll bring that back next week. So B and C, sir, I can see those bringing back next week, subject to everything being collected.
Why don't you bring the whole thing, bring it back next week, and it'll be done all completely.
Put the item satisfying, even though we took action.
Yeah, I mean, just do it right.
We'll do it that way.
Just go ahead and do it.
Okay, other questions or concerns? Okay, we dealt, item 3, discussion action included by limited, we did all the other business, sir. I think we're done, sir, from our part.
All right, thank you.
No action on 3, Eddie?
Pardon me?
No action on number 3?
So I think we discussed number 3 already, sir, and there's no action on number 3. Is discussion and action limited, action including and not limited to healthcare funding district. Do you have any other, I don't have anything else except what we discussed.
We're just grateful, and thank you all for working through a very complicated situation, and I'm just excited for the whole region on this.
Sir, and I have to acknowledge the thanks and hard work from Ms. Darlene Sarmiento. Darlene is the director for our Human Services. She and I work together on this, and she has been instrumental in helping along with her team. And of course, the Budget Office, Auditor's Office, our County Tax Assessor's Office, and Ms. Garcia, the County Treasurer's Office, have all worked very hard on this in a very, very tight schedule, sir. So I'd like to acknowledge their hard work.
Thank you too, Eddie. I know you spend a lot of time and a lot of hours in this, and we trust you and believe you, so.
Thank you, sir.
We need to brag about your efforts too, Eddie.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Do any members of this group desire to make any comments?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much. I know that for the public, we have the largest indigent population in Texas located, living amongst us here in Hidalgo County. That's one of the issues that's being addressed is their health care. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next item, ya acabamos. Item 15, our elections office.
Agenda 12.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. And I have item 15A. discussion and approval of appointment of Democratic presiding election judges and alternate election judges for a 2-year term to commence August 1st, 2013 through the July 31st, 2015 term. That's item 1. I would like to explain that this is statute that requires there to be a base of names. This is not assigning them to a poll location because, as you can see, they are just by precinct. So from this pool of names, then the chairs and this court will begin to work from it. So this is not an approval of location. This is just simply, in fact, we still have to go in and work with the chairs to determine which of these precinct chairs are actual employees of the county, because there is a policy that does not allow employees to work the poll location. So this is not an approval of location as to where they will work. It's simply a pool of names.
Yeah, I know. I got a couple that are county employees that
Yes,
we need
sir,
to
we know that. And so
remove,
that's why it's just statute that requires that this court approve the list, but it's not an assignment of workers. So it's simply a protocol.
So when do we remove those?
We can do that today, and then the chairs have actually up to 20 days before the general election to amend, and believe me, they will be amending, and we will be bringing this back. So for right now, we're just trying to cover the deadline of the statute, and you can see that I've also attached a Republican list, which also will require amendments.
Well, I got number 9 at the Ed Couch Fire Station, Daniel Angel Guzman.
Yes, sir.
He's an employee, so we need to.
Yes, sir, and the chairs, what they do is they just put down the precinct chairs. The party chairs put down the precinct chairs, but this is not actual list for working the poll locations. So I just need approval for 1, and 2 is the approval of the Republican presiding election judges and alternate election judges for the same 2-year term. Working list, not assignment.
Move for approval of
Second.
15A, 1 and 2.
Sir, did you make a motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Second.
This only relates to election day, right?
And for the primary, election day is what the chairs do work. But as I said, this is just a working list
I know,
there.
but this is only for election day. These
This is
judges that we're
actual-
voting on.
The statute calls for the chairs to give the court a pool of names from which to work from. The primary chair, for the primary election, the chairs are responsible for election day. For the general election, then it comes back to this court, but it's from this particular list.
No, I understand, but the early voting is where most of the people are voting now. The judges for early voting, when are those going to be picked?
The judges for early voting actually are determined by my office. I am the early voting clerk, and I am the person that assigns the judges and the alternate judges for early voting.
Do we get to vote on it?
The court does not vote on early voting. They vote on the list, and then you vote on election day for the general elections and for the general elections. That's your authority.
Well, can you give us a list of who you're considering to be election judges for early voting?
Yes, sir. What I do want to bring first to you, though, is what the statute does call for your approval, which are the poll locations. Once the poll locations are determined, then we're able to assign judges and alternate judges because there's such a consolidation of locations. So we will be bringing that. We're still working with STC and Westlaco. We'll bring those poll locations to you, and then we will finalize
Are
the
you going to be
judges.
consolidating early voting locations?
We always do, sir. We always have between 25 and 30 early vote poll locations. And being a constitutional, we're working very closely with STC because they are requiring more locations, and we're almost finalized with that. We will bring that to court, I will bring that to court, and then we will be able to work on how many judges and alternate judges we need.
All right.
Was it approved?
Yes, we need to have a motion. Was there a second?
Yes, sir.
And that's to 15A1 and 2? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Can you provide us, Yvonne, I'm sorry, with a list of who these judges are that you're considering for November? Especially if they're going to be the ones that are going to be there in March.
And again, for this constitutional, keep in mind that the locations will be considerably reduced. Then for the primary, of course, it'll be the largest number that we all ever have out there, and so that will increase. So yes, sir, as soon as all that is prepared, we will certainly be sharing all that information with each of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Item 16.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Morning, Mr. Gonzalez.
My name is Jimmy Gonzalez. I'm with the Public Defender's Office. I'm here today regarding our juvenile section. Specifically, discussion, consideration, and approval to apply for additional funding for fiscal year 2014 discretionary grant due to availability of state funds with authority for the county judge to submit budget requests.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And I want to thank you for the work that you guys are doing. You've been able to cut into, I don't remember the exact number of dollars that we're saving over the prior year.
Well, I hope to present a presentation in the state of our office the next coming month where I'll be able to show all the numbers we're doing along with our juvenile office and pilot programs we're doing that's also saving the county a significant amount of money.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item 17, Precinct 1.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. The first item is we have some claims invoices from ASG Security. This is for the alarm systems for the different locations in Precinct 1 under the Commissioner's care.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
B, item 1, requesting authorization for the county to execute an interlocal agreement with Willacy County for the completion of a bridge expansion project. This is a bridge replacement project in Willacy County. However, the right-of-way on the south side of that bridge is in Hidalgo County, so that's why we're participating with Willacy. The agreement is between TxDOT and Willacy County.
Everything is approved by legal, right?
Yes.
Move for approval.
Second.
Monday?
The agreement was not attached when we reviewed the agenda. Is it attached now? The
It's
agreement,
attached
the interlocal agreement?
Oh, the project agreement, yes, we have
Attached
it.
electronically.
We have it here.
All right, that's 1 and 2 on the motion.
Yes, sir.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
No, legal has it, right? But
Yes.
the question is it attached to the agenda caption? Because normally, those documents are attached, like Balde was talking about earlier, they become part of the official record. So it needs to be attached or given to the court reporter.
Okay.
All right, item C.
It's, Judge, Commissioner, just real quickly, Monica's informed me that it has been attached.
Oh, see? Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Item C, requesting approval on an amendment we have right now currently with the City of Alamo San Juan and Precinct Number 2. In lieu of labor and equipment to be used on that, under the previous agreement, the precinct is going to be making a $15,000 contribution at the end of the project. So we're asking for that approval of that amendment.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Item 18, Precinct 2.
Judge, Commissioners, for the time being, we're going to pass on that till after executive session.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Judge, on this item, there needs to be some discussion about the offer and the counter offer in executive session, and
All
then
right.
after executive session, action can be taken.
They'll take no action at this time then?
Well, how come it cannot be done in open session? I mean, Commissioner's Court is the one that is approving it.
There needs to be some discussion in executive session under real estate, and then once we finish executive session, the court may come out here and take action or not take action.
In order to have a frank discussion, probably on prices or offers, we'll come back in open session and take care of it.
All right.
All right, Precinct 3.
Judge, Commissioners, if I may, I'll present for Precinct 3. For Precinct 3, there is a request to name a road located approximately 8 3/4 miles north, Brushline Road, as Elisa Street.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge. Commissioners,
19B.
item B, there's a request for a 2013 appropriation of funds from Precinct 3 fund balance into Precinct number 3's BCAP, Randolph Barnett number 1, which is Program 600. That dollar amount is $92.32.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item C for Precinct 3, they're asking authorization to accept a right-of-way donation deed from Sharyland ISD for 6 1/4 Line Road project.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge, Commissioners, just real quickly for the record, under 19A, the action that was taken for Elisa Street, I will confirm that it has been cleared for 911 purposes as well.
Okay. Item 20.
Judge, before we get to this next item, can we take a picture with the hospital administrators? I'm going to invite them back in to take a picture with the court.
Well,
To take pictures with the hospital.
oh.
Okay.
Picture. Picture, Karina. Eres Olivares in the front.
Where do you want us, back here? Dale.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Eddie in the front, Eddie, you're too short.
Okay. Can you just squeeze
No, tiras piedra.
a little bit more? Yes. Okay, great. Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. And this time smile. Okay, smile. Because you're going to give us... Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dale.
Mr. Palacios, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You did an excellent job for us. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Oh, me too. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Precinct 4.
Judge, item 20 is the approval of interlocal cooperation agreement between the County of Hidalgo and the City of McAllen. This is for the railroad improvements from Mile 3
Move for approval.
to Mile 5.
I'm sorry, Judge, there's no funding in place for this project.
This agreement, Mr. Fracio, is agreement that we have with the state. The state has construction dollars. The agreement with the county was to supplement funding from the precinct, funding from the City of McAllen, in hopes of getting this one constructed. I know Sergio's here.
Yes, also funding for this project was going to come from the sale of the drainage assets, what we have under item 21D. However, I believe we're going to, no action on that item. We're going to bring it back next week. If we could have this approved subject to
funding,
bring it back that subject to funding so we can get the documents started to work out. And the funding will be appropriated from those sales of assets, which is about $6.5 million.
Is there a motion to approve?
Yes, sir.
And a
Second.
second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 21.
Yes, Martha Salazar for Purchasing Department. Let's begin with, sorry. Item 1, this is acceptance and approval of an amendment to current benefits agreement, contract number 108 with AirVac Life Team and County of Hidalgo, and this is to address clarification as to the service enrollment and administrative fees. The vendor is in agreement.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 2 is presentation of the low bid received as detailed in the tabulation sheet contained herein, meeting all specifications and requirements for the purposes of award and approval of contract for the request for bid titled Hidalgo County Urban County Program Lease of Office Space through project number 177. There were 8 participants. 3 bids were received. 2 could only be considered. 1 was late. And the awarded recommended vendor is Triple R Medical Facilities at $115 per square foot, which will be $8,354.75 per month.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Under Precinct 1, requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code 262-024A, a professional service.
So move.
Second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Then the presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking of the firms graded and evaluated from the pool of geotechnical service providers, MEG at 87, Terracon at 86, and PSI at 82. Does the court wish to rank them in the order of their scores?
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C is authority for the purchasing department to negotiate a professional geotechnical services contract with the number 1 ranked of MEG.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Precinct 3, pursuant to Local Government Code 263-151, approval to declare as salvage property for the purpose of destruction and demolition a metal structure, also known as a motor pool or storage building located at 8310 West Miles 7 Road in Mission. This is part of Precinct 3's. The building has been deemed to be unsafe. Now, I do want to address the clarification by the auditor's office. The structure is real property, not personal property. For real property, we don't need to surplus, but it is one of the forms that we like to document the fact that the court is acknowledging that we are destroying something.
But not as required by the statute. They declare in their surplus, but not as required by the statute.
Correct.
Decided.
Correct. Unfortunately, we thought it was a movable structure, but it's not. It is on a concrete slab.
Move for
So it
approval.
became real property.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
We will be taking no action until next week on all of item D. And item E, this is for HIDA requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements in the Texas Local Government Code 262-024A7A, uppercase A. This is a exemption I'm asking and recommending.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
We are asking for acceptance and approval of a sole source declaration with Cardinal Tracking Incorporated and authority to purchase and continue of the software license agreement and total system support services with said sole vendor, designating remaining in effect as long as HIDA possesses and utilizes said hardware, software.
Second.
And this commences October the 1st of 2013.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Health and Human Services, we are accepting an approval and award to the proposed received amount of $17,183.23 from Herrera and Hunt. They are a jock vendor for the replacement of negative pressure HEPA filtration units and in 4 rooms and 1 transport vehicle.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Presentation of the bid received as detailed in the tabulation sheet contained herein, meeting all specs and for the purposes of award and approval of contract. These were done on sealed quotes as the anticipated expense does not exceed $50,000 a year. There were 6 participants, 4 submitted sealed quotes, and the recommended vendor is Adapco.
Move for approval.
Check.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
No action on item G. Going H, Sheriff's Office approval of Architect Supplemental Instructions Number 3, funded through the Betterment Allowance in the amount of $17,623.
to contractor D. Wilson Construction in connection with the Sheriff's Office substation.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Requesting approval of change order reduction number 1 in connection with the construction of the Sheriff's Office substation in the amount of $17,455.92 from contracted vendor D. Wilson Construction and as recommended by the project architect, Janak Associates.
Move for approval. Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item C is approval of request for payment application number 14 in the amount of $16,741.85 from D. Wilson Construction, awarded contractor for that substation, and is certified for payment by the architect, Janak.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
D is approval of the request for payment application final retainage in the amount of $881.16 from D. Wilson Construction, awarded contractor for the sheriff's substation, and is certified for payment by the project architect, Janak.
Move for approval.
Second.
Marty, there was something that needed to be done in order to issue payment for the final payment. Do you know if that's been done?
You mean a signature on a change order?
No, I think the contract needed to be, or the final payment needed to be, include certain language. Do you know, Alex, if that's been done or no? We've been communicating with your office, and we couldn't make the payment until that was done, and I don't know if that has been done.
That there was still something pending by the contractor. Something about
The certification about the asbestos?
I think you were asking for something about an asbestos report.
Yeah, this is required by contract, and that's my question.
I haven't been, I know that Wilson had informed us that it was to his knowledge that everything had been submitted. Now, the asbestos report, I don't think was going to come from was it going to come from the architect? I don't think it was going to come from the
The contract
vendor.
requires that the contractor certify certain things related to asbestos in order for us to make the final payment.
I'll certainly tell them to approve it, subject to verifying that we received it, but I haven't been informed.
I think Alex was facilitating that, Alex?
Excuse me.
The question is about...
Do you know if
There
the
is an-
contractor has submitted some certification on asbestos issue?
There is an article in the general contractor's agreement about asbestos. Because the sheriff's substation is a brand-new building, the materials...
Are
doesn't-
asbestos-free?
There is asbestos-free as per the contract documents.
Mr.
However...
Palacios, why don't you Go ahead and have the contractor submit that, saying that it's asbestos-free, that takes care of it.
Just send it to me and I'll
Speaking
email
of
it.
Mr. B. Wilson, I believe he's already submitted it, Mr. Fracio.
A little assertive and
That's the
telling
only
you
way
know,
that
you
we
don't want
would
to
have
speak to
gotten...
us.
He
just
submitted
tell
it
us,
probably
don't ignore us.
in a response to what you said.
Subject to approval.
We'll make sure that he has responded to the issue.
All right, thank you.
But I don't want this to affect the release of his checks, because
Well,
there
the-
has
the
been...
final payment is, I think the contract reads that before the final payment is made, the contractor has to certify that the facility is
I will
asbestos-free.
advise my staff right now that if either they haven't received it, they send something that he can acknowledge is indeed the fact and support and provide it to you.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve item 21H, 1D as in David. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. This time pursuant to, well,
Judge.
yes.
Judge, Commissioners, if I may, I've been informed there was a slight error under the consent agenda, and I need to clarify that, so I would request that the court rescind the action approving the consent agenda, so we're able to pull out 2 items.
Move for approval to rescind consent agenda.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge, Commissioners, I would request that item 8B and 8C be pulled from consent agenda.
Was that 8B and 8C?
8C, yes, sir.
Move for approval of consent agenda excluding 8B and 8C.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And Judge, Commissioners, I would request that 8B be approved for the electronic fund transfer and not 8C.
The fire marshal? Second.
EFT, 8B is the EFT.
Move for approval.
Second.
Thank you.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners.
Thank you.
What did he say?
I need a motion to proceed to executive session pursuant to 551-071-072.
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries. We'll be in executive session for a while. All right, we're back in open session. Mr. Guerra?
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
Me quieren mucho.
Under open session, Judge Commissioners, before we get to the open session of the executive session item, I want to bring back the agenda item 18. Lupe? Item 18 for precinct 2.
Judge, item 18, Commissioners, there's a request, a counteroffer that I received for a parcel that I'm purchasing at a Thomas Road project. The initial offer for the parcel was $37,740. The settlement demand from the property owner is at $43,150, and I'd like to recommend that we go ahead and approve it. The difference between the original offer and the settlement demand is $5,410.
Those in favor of the motion is made and seconded, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
What item?
18, yes, sir. 18 for precinct 2.
The settlement agreement was not attached, so he's going to attach it now, or?
Yes, we'll get it attached. Yes, you'll have all proper documentation.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Judge Commissioners, under open session, 23A, real estate acquisition. There's no action at this time. Item 23B, pending and/or potential, no action at this time. Item 23C, claim of Leonarda Rodriguez Serna. Judge Commissioners, I would refer back to item 7A1 and 2. Item 7A1, I'm asking exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code 262.024A4, professional service for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation. I could have a motion to that effect.
Move for approval.
Check.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion
And
carries.
7A2, I'm requesting engagement with the firm of Rick Palacios and Associates for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation and authority to submit a letter of engagement, specifically item 23C, claim of Leonarda Rodriguez Serna.
Need a motion to
Move for
approve?
approval.
Check.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
That is all
with
we
one
have.
abstention.
Judge, I need to abstain for the record.
Yes.
Got an affidavit?
Monica?
Monica?
We need an affidavit. All right, need a motion to adjourn, gentlemen.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Dale.